Howdy, folks, let's go for a ride. Get your favorite one to sit by your side. Cuddle up in a sleigh, giddy up, Nellie Gray, and away we go. Everybody ought to learn to ski, for that is how we first met. We were that Jack and Jill that came down the hill. When I looked at you, my heart took a thrill.
Took a thrill on a hill, it's a thrill that I can't forget.
It happened in Sun Valley, not so very long ago.
The name Sun Valley had a special meaning for my parents' generation, as we were all in Soviet Union. The 1941 Glenn Miller movie, Sun Valley Serenade, was one of a handful of films that made it through the censors and became really, really popular over there, so like everybody had seen it. I think most of the people in the Soviet Union thought that it was just a Hollywood set. Due to the day-to-day realities of socialism, it just didn't seem fathomable that here in America adults could take vacation and go to this beautiful winter paradise and engage in something as menial as skiing. But as it turned out, Sun Valley is a real place, and as a matter of fact, 5 years before the film was even made, they got the first ever mechanized chairlift, which revolutionized the entire sport of alpine skiing and made it a lot easier and more accessible for people. So I'll begin my review of Sun Valley by saying right out front that it's going to be a little bit unfair. The reason for that is that the rest of the mountains that are on the Mountain Collective Pass are not places that I've been to before. I'm new to all of them. And Sun Valley is a place that I've actually visited quite a bit. The views from the top are simply gorgeous and panoramic. You feel like you're standing on top of the world there. There are a lot of aspects that make Sun Valley a great ski destination, and I will begin by describing the mountain. The mountain itself is not the longest or the steepest or the highest altitude, but it has a lot going for it. One thing that's really unique about it from the other resorts that I've seen is that it has a very constant and steep pitch. So when you get going down, you're going and going and going and going, and it's very, very consistent. The thing that I really appreciate about the mountain and the management of the mountain is just they got grooming down to a science. They have an army of grooming machines. They're out on the slopes as soon as they close, and they're up there very often past midnight. And early morning skiing out there is just like nowhere else I've ever seen before. It's, the corduroy is out there, the surface is extremely consistent, the feel of the mountain is extremely consistent. You get the confidence just from the grip and the control that you have. You go balls out flying down the mountain and do the high-speed carving that I just enjoy so much. The mountain does have terrain parks. There is areas that are especially left with moguls. There's a lot of bumps and intermediate jumps, so as you're going down, you can always kind of slow down a little bit, take a little side road, take a jump. It is a very diverse mountain. If you were out there all day, I don't think you could ski every named run. I will say, however, as a word of caution, it is not a very beginner-friendly mountain. If you're like a beginner intermediate skier, there is a whole section of the mountain called the Seattle Ridge, which has a lot of their green runs, and I would say Sun Valley greens are very comparable to the blue runs that we're used to here in the Cascades. Last year, by pure chance, I shared a chairlift with a guy who was actually the manager of the snowmaking equipment at Sun Valley. And he told me Sun Valley has the biggest artificial snowmaking setup in the world right now. It sounded pretty phenomenal. He talked about like how many gigagallons of water they're able to pump per second. One thing I didn't realize is that the water that they're pumping up the mountain actually has to be hot. Otherwise it would freeze at the nozzle. So they're heating up like gigagallons of water, pumping them all the way, so many thousand feet up the mountain and spraying them out of these nozzles to make snow. Sun Valley is just really, really consistent, and I appreciate that about it because you can plan a vacation, say a month in advance, not really knowing what the conditions are going to be, and be relatively assured that they're not going to be terrible. And that's been my experience every single time that I've traveled there. I should talk about facilities a little bit, and with that I'll say that there are two base areas in Sun Valley. There's River Run and Warm Springs. Having two areas spreads out the load a little bit in the morning. The mountain has a number of restaurants, both at the base areas. There's a really nice place at the top of the Seattle Ridge. The top of the gondola also has a really nice restaurant, which is open after hours, and you could go there for evening fare. I will say that this year I noticed the pricing all across the board there has taken a steep hike. It is not to the point of being just absolutely ludicrous, but a fountain drink will cost you $4 now. I will say that the parking situation in Sun Valley is exemplary. The parking lots are sizable, they're very accessible. The drop-off area takes you almost up to the lifts. They have courtesy carts that you're free to use if you're taking a lot of gear back and forth. And most importantly, there is a free shuttle that comes every couple of minutes to take you right to your car or to the foot of the mountain. Really like that aspect of Sun Valley. But there's more to a ski resort than just the mountain, and the thing that really makes Sun Valley stand out for me is the town. The cool thing about the area is that you have 4 towns, Ketchum, Bellevue, Haley, and Sun Valley, that kind of make one population center. And although the ski resort is the main attraction, is the big thing there, it is by far not the only thing that's happening in town. It's a small town in its own right. People are born there, people live there, it has its own economy, and the feeling of that really transfers into the experience that you're going to have there. It's not like many other places where everything is owned by one corporation, and here's the bar, and here's the family-friendly restaurant, and here's the real estate office where we're going to try to sell you some condos. When you get down the mountain, you have a feeling of, hey, this is a cool place, and let's check out the town. My favorite place in town to go to is a bar restaurant called The Pioneer that's on the main drag there. It's an excellent steakhouse. I'm a little bit of a steak snob, and the steaks there are pretty decent. But at the same time, the atmosphere is super chill. It harkens back to the days of the pioneers. You've got taxidermy trophy deer on the walls, and you've got these giant shotguns that were used for commercial duck hunting back in the day, I guess. But the cool thing that I appreciate about it is that the food is excellent. The service has always been top-notch. If you have a weird steak order, you're not going to surprise them. It's kind of like going to Starbucks for coffee. They've heard it all. At the same time, the pricing is really reasonable. I mean, for the quality of steaks that they have there and the quality of the fare, honestly, you probably couldn't go to a grocery store and come out on top, even if you were doing all of the cooking and cleaning yourself. One tip that I will give you guys is that although the town does have legitimate grocery stores, the prices are a little bit high. You can definitely find fresh produce there. You can even find lobster and seafood for those that are liking. But if you rented a house and you're going out there for a week plus, it may be worthwhile to hit Costco when you're driving through Boise and bring the steaks with you, because they are a little pricey. Or, quite honestly, just go to the Pioneer, and that's usually what I do. With all the money around, the town has somehow been able to remain very non-pretentious. I mean, if you're the type of person that wants to fly in on your private jet and go shopping for mink coats and diamonds, they definitely have that. But at the same time, it is very surprising at just how chill the town really is. Typically, the biggest expense when going on a ski vacation like this is actually lodging. And this is another area where Sun Valley has just so much to offer. Again, because it is not a corporate tourist trap, real people own real estate out there, and there's a lot of vacation properties, which ends up driving the competition for the best vacation property for the money. You can find lodging on VRBO or Airbnb, and there are quite a few hotels in town as well, But the hotel prices have never been outrageous, mainly because there's just so many options in town that are so close in. And the final thing about Sun Valley, of course, is the hot spring. I mean, it's phenomenal. You just drive out there, climb down, get in, and it's awesome. I mean, yeah, every hotel and almost every house you're gonna have is gonna have a hot tub there, but this is just special and it's super cool. Hey guys, I just wanted to let all of my friends know that I'm bodily back home in Seattle now, safe and sound. The story ends well. I've got material for probably 5 to 8 more episodes, and I'll be working on those and publishing them about 1 or 2 a week. While out on the road, it's just really hard to find the time and a place to sit down and actually work on these, and they do take a phenomenal amount of time to splice and cut and deal with. So hopefully you guys enjoyed my lengthy and detailed review of Sun Valley. I really do ask that if you guys like these videos, do the thumbs up on YouTube and subscribe. And then the biggest thing is please post them on your Facebook timeline so that your friends can see them too, and then the word spreads and stuff like that. It was really encouraging for me on the road when I was out there to know that I've got all of you guys watching these, and it was super awesome. So I had a great trip, and hopefully you guys can check it out and, you know, see how it went.